Welcome back, team. NIST CSF implementation. Why this is important? Because by complying the NIST best practice, we need to ensure that system, data, and networks of our organization and our customers are protected from the cyber security attacks. This helps because we need significant time and avoid expenses we may have in the future due to this attack. So we need to safe and secure all of these assets to bring up the stakeholders, trust owners, plus a kind of standardization is required uh, to bring our organization's score become zero. So in this session, we will discuss about the implementation, that what are the steps we need to comply to bring NIST in organization. So guys, let's begin the session. Starts with the profile. What is profile means? So list of functions we have in our organization, or list of controls, or list of the good things, or list of the risk avoidance in our in our systems is called the profile. So we have multiple kinds of profile. For example, current profile, target profile, and complex profile. So current profile means what kind of current controls exist in our organization is called the current one. It covers the current functions. As I said, it covers the current functions in an organization and what they're supposed to achieve. Okay, so profile means a kind of controls. CONTROLS controls. Coming to the next slide, which is having targeted. What is target profile? What we supposed to achieve is our targeted profile. Example, we have incident management on paper, but in actual no standard or process is there. We need to streamline the ground level task. This involves the cybersecurity postures, new requirements, new environment adoption, etc. So target means depending on the risk, depending on the gaps of assessment, right? We need to have a future control, which is called the target profile. Here we have incident management on paper, it's good, but in practical we have no standardization or no followers of the incident management, like the life cycle adherence and all. So implementation of the incident management is necessary. Why target profile is required? To to bring the cyber security postures in place. Okay, what are the new requirements which need to think over it, because client adoption is uh, like we need to do adopt for bring the trust of the stakeholders plus environment adoption mix with it. So we can say that goals means target profile directly relates with the goals. Okay, interested parties expectations, because what are the requirements from the interested parties we need to include in our target list or the risk register, plus in and plus threat environment we need to focus on this, plus adherence of the NIST to get the target of the current profile, and What are the controls we need to achieve? Who are the target profiles? So coming to the next slide, how to create the profiles? What are the steps we need to follow? Scope, orient, what are the current profiles we need to create it, conduct a risk assessment, target profiles, analyze gaps, implement action plans, review, update and repeat. Let's discuss one by one. Start with the scope. Establish business goals, risk tolerance, and cybersecurity priorities of your organization. It specifies scope, helps you define the objectives and understand the scope of the exercise and a chart of course to achieve the projects. So what a scope in NIST cybersecurity? It defines what assets require protection or assessments. So as we can see in screen, scope and prioritize, it includes the establishment of high level discussion or mission achieve objectives, business needs and determine the risk tolerance of the organization. What are the subtypes? It identifies assets, systems, data, and capabilities to support these systems. Examples: auto sector is more looking for TSEX because of the regulations part, so they will more focus on the assessment part related to TSEX. Next is the next is the orient one. What is orient? So organization assets and systems and identify applicability regulations, risk approach and the threats to the organization. Example, with reference to the last slide, auto organizations identify all servers exist in the organization, right? Databases, assets where TSX data is stored, where it's related to the regulations part. So orient is the streamline of process. See, scope means what we are seeking for the future, plus orient means what is the current ongoing streamline projects. Coming to the next slide, how to create the current profile. How to create the current profile. So on the basis of orient and scope, we need to have a current like current profile, because on the basis of current profile we need to compare it with the like with the future profile we have. So a current profile is a snapshot of how the organization is managing risk as defined by the categories and subcategories of the cybersecurity framework. Example: auto organization have a firewall, encrypted data storage and backups in place, but problem management gap is there. So try to understand with an example here. Let's pick me a pen here. This is my organization. Okay, this is my organization. Okay, what are the controls over here? Make a list. Okay, for example, we have password control, right? We have like 17 characters password plus first logon password change, and have a policy of changing the passwords in every quarter or within a month. Example. So this is a list of the current profile, right? But we can see here the MFA is not in place. MFA means multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication means a combination of an additional security layer. It's a combination of a security layer which includes your username, your password, right? Your CAPTCHA, your OTP on mobile, and OTP on your email. Okay, so this combination is called the MFA, means multiple layers with respect to the security are involved in this, hence called as MFA. But MFA is not in place. Okay, so we need to have this. Uh, so make a separate checklist which includes the targeted profile, which we will discuss in the next slide. After current profile, right, assess the risk, conduct a risk assessment, evaluate the organization, right, evaluate whatever exists in the current profile so that we can have a visibility that what we actually need to achieve. Why requirement of risk assessment? Because we have a requirement and we need to implement the latest control as suggested by our stakeholders. So we need to have a current profile on the table and our target profile on the table and assess the gap between these two. Okay. So evaluate the operational environment, emerging risk and cyber security threats, informations to determine the probability and severity of a cyber security event. Example, vulnerabilities and penetrating testing outcomes is part of the risk assessment. After current, okay, let's have a target profile. Target profile indicates the outcomes needed to achieve the desired cybersecurity risk and management goals. It's important here to loop in goals from all business segments, both business and security. That's why you will have a more well-rounded goal set that aligns with your business visions for the future. So a target profile represents the risk management goal of the information security team. Plus, organization wants, see why target profile is required, because organization wants a zero breach, which require to implement all the control against open cases or open vulnerability. That's why target profile is required, because whatever are the requirements from the client side, we need to have uh, we need to implement all those to bring up the trust of the stakeholders, our customers. That's why target profile would be required. But after completion of the target one, what we need to do further? See, analyze the gaps. Analyze the gaps between the current profile and target profile, so that we need to have a gap that this particular gap we need to cover. Okay. So by identifying the gaps between the current and the target profiles, the information security team can create an action plan including measurable milestone and resources, people, budget, time required to fill these gaps, because whatever are the gaps between current profile and targeted profile, we need to analyze the gaps. Okay, as we had discussed in the last slide, that incident management implementation was not in place, or MFA was not in place. So how can we get up the MFA? Because of the because as per our analysis, MFA was not in place. So the gap between current profile and targeted profile, why we are doing this? To analyze the gaps and to have a zero data breach, or zero gap between these two, so that we can achieve the goals of business. After this, we need to implement the action plan according to the identified gaps, plan the proposed controls with downtime if required, and close the vulnerability cases, and communicate and report to the interested parties about the cybersecurity risk and what being done to mitigate them. Okay. After identified gaps, we have a list. Okay, select this in a sequential wise, or in a priority wise, and and implement these all these gaps. If downtime is required, raise a cap, which is change advisory board, use the change management process and implement the same. After implementation and testing of these controls, communicate and report to the interested parties. Interested parties means we have multiple suppliers, right? We have multiple clients, we have multiple stakeholders. So these are all the interested parties. So communicate and report to all the relevant parties about the risk and what being done to mitigate them. Next video guys, we will discuss on NIST interview questions, and on next Sunday we have a free GRC and interview tips. On 5th Jan to 2025 New Year, connect on my email for more details. This session is completely free, no charges guys, so take benefits of it. Plus I hope these sessions you loving a lot. Plus if you have any queries or any support required in your interview sessions, connect me. My email is mentioned on my email, or also you can comment on the comment box please. I am regular reviewing your comment. So thank you so much. Have a nice day.